Our guest today is a global business leader, investor, advisor, and coach, Mr. Suchindra Kanakanapalya.
When leaders face crossroads to make decisions, they're always referring to models, frameworks, and scenarios.
I think what strikes me most is not just the number of industries or geographies, but how you navigated such different contexts and challenges.
Working with different organizations is to empathize with various experiences across this ecosystem of various stakeholders.
Why do you think ESG has moved from being a compliance checkbox to a genuine competitive advantage in today's business world? Hi everyone, and welcome back to FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. Today's episode is an exciting one. We're not just talking about corporate strategy or governance in isolation. We're talking about how a leader can shape billion-dollar transformations, mentor startups, coach the next generation of professionals, and still find time to run ultra marathons and climb mountains for causes bigger than themselves. Our guest today is a global business leader, investor, advisor, and coach with over 18 years of experience across 50 clients, 15 countries, and 12 industries. He has delivered more than 300 million US dollars in program value, enabled 500 million US dollars in strategic contracts, and helped organizations realize over 10 billion US dollars in business value. From leading a post merger integration at Vodafone to enabling Woolworths' logistic transformation with blockchain to driving TCS's first ever global GRI reporting implementation, he has been at the center of some of the most complex and innovative programs in the corporate world. Beyond Boardroom, he's an angel investor in 15 plus startups, a coach to over 1,700 high potential professionals across 4 continents, and raised funds by leading a hike up Australia's highest peak, Mount Kosioko, for women against domestic violence. It's an absolute honor to welcome Mr. Suchindra Kanakanapalya, a strategist, investor, mentor, and leader who truly lives the life at intersection of business, governance, and purpose. Mr. Suchindra, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Charu. A bit of an overwhelming coverage, but happy to be here and having a conversation with you.
Great. So, looking forward to having a wonderful conversation with you today.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Suchindra, every leader has a story, one that doesn't always make it into LinkedIn profiles or resumes. Could you share your career journey with us? How did it all begin, and what were some of the key turning points along the way?
Okay, sure. Thank you, Charu. That's a good question. You're definitely making me go back in time to see where it all began and where the real spark was, right?
Right.
So, I was born and brought up in Bangalore, and this is where I did most of my basic elementary education all the way to engineering. I went to do my master's in Chicago, and I started to work in New York. And it was also the global financial crisis during that period.
Right.
And that got me really thinking because a lot of leadership and organizations were making decisions which were not necessarily aligned with how a new employee or just an experienced employee would imagine. And that really triggered my imagination. Why are leaders and organizations so different in terms of their decision making? And why does it really not make sense? Some of the decisions is probably to even let go of some of the team members or to
Right.
buy a company, which is not necessarily sometimes a competitor. Uh, and that, along with me using consulting as a bedrock of as a skill set, which helped me to walk the corridors of power across different industries across the world, has actually helped me to build a knowledge book for all my life, learning from every experience, every industry, and every organization. So that's really where I'm here today, trying to aspire to be an independent director. But that's all coming back together and to really empower future organizations.
Right, right. So it's really compelling to hear how those early experiences shaped your approach. And listeners often underestimate how much the environment and the first challenges we face set the tone for everything that comes later. So thank you for sharing your journey with us.
Wonderful, Charu. Thank you so much.
Mr. Suchindra, not many leaders can say they've worked across 12 industries and 15 countries. From Vodafone's post-merger integration in telecom to Woolworths' logistic blockchain in retail to Unilever's cost transformation in FMGC. That's an extraordinary range. Looking back, what's the one common thread you noticed in companies that thrive versus that stumble?
Yeah, wonderful. Brilliant question, Charu. Thank you so much for asking that. Nobody has ever asked me this question, so it helps me put some thought into it. If there was one aspect that you have, if I have to put my mind on it, I think it's fear. It's the fear of leadership. It's the fear of line managers and decision maker, directors and vice presidents who are making decisions of investments and corporate deliverables that they feel they're not very confident of achieving the objectives.
Right.
The experiences that we built is based on similar experiences or a culmination of similar experiences in the past.
Right.
Remember, these leaders are not necessarily grown up the ranks in the same organization. It could be contractors, vendors, leadership, functional leaders. They've all worked in different industries, different organizations, different stages of these organizations maturing. And not all of them brings them to the crossroads that they're meeting today, let's say, for example. And for them to kind of say, this is it, this is the project, this is the initiative, this is the investment, this is the software I need to buy, this is the organization, this is the new manufacturing plan that I need to build, is always a probability of estimations.
Right.
And leaders and consultants and vendors and advisors actually help them to kind of firm up that decision to say, so my experience of working with different organizations is to empathize with various experiences across this ecosystem of various stakeholders and to really bring that to that decision to achieve an objective with the probability of success. I don't think so organizations today can really put their mind and say this is 100%.
Agreed, absolutely. And the breadth of experience you've had, sir, is really impressive. And I think what strikes me most is not just the number of industries and geographies, but how you navigated such different contexts and challenges. And what these experiences resonate on a human level. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us.
Pleasure, Tara. Thank you so much. It's a good question to really dwell on.
Absolutely. So you've delivered transformations worth billions, but some of them were incredibly complex, like Vodafone's post-merger integration or helping Unilever cut costs by 33% with zero-based budgeting. These aren't just projects, they are turning points for entire organizations. Which one tested you the most as a leader, and what did you take away from that challenge?
Yeah, good question again, Charu. Very difficult to kind of identify one specific project or program or a client that I really work with. Because each of these projects was so different, and it really put me in a spot that I've never faced before. And that's why it makes it exciting, because not many people today out there in the world actually can say that. Going into challenges that I've never faced before, but still have the ability to make things happen and deliver on the outcomes and promises. And that is what I've really enjoyed. I've always enjoyed the unknown, sometimes an unknown, because there have been projects that we've implemented, but at a later stage, we realized that they're fundamentally so different, and the entire industry is tectonically changed. what we gathered as requirements and the need of the business just 6 months ago have completely changed due to geopolitics, due to changing regulations, or even the political climate within a region.
Right.
And that's helped me to kind of look at how that really translates. There was one project that I really enjoyed, which probably is contextually interesting to develop on, and this is with Ernst and Young, and we were trying to build a capability on a financial services for our statutory one clients, which is basically clients that the Big Four or the auditing firm does statutory accounting, reporting. But you're not supposed to do consulting because of the independence. And this was a project where we were building an accounting practice, and it was basically catering to the Channel One clients, and it dealt with working through and carving out these capabilities across multiple services, working with different regional leadership, and really convincing them that this is a go-to-market and there's an opportunity for us to go. And it turned out to be a $5 million opportunity within the first year that and it helped us to really differentiate and offer something that no other organization offered. And also for clients who are in multiple geographies, not to worry about their local compliances and technologies, because we aggregated across a centralized system and really helped them to kind of be compliant wherever.
Wow, great, sir. And it's so incredible to hear the scale and complexity of what you navigated. And I think that there is a human dimension behind the numbers. There are people, the culture, and the resistance you must have to had to manage. And that really brings out the challenges to life for listeners. And it's refreshing to hear in such a candid, real way. So thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Charu. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Great. So one milestone that stands out is when you led TCS's GRI ESG reporting implementation for an Australian retail major. That not only transformed the company, but also positioned TCS as an APAC leader in ESG program management. I'm sorry, why do you think ESG has moved from being a compliance checkbox to a genuine competitive advantage in today's business world?
Good question, Charu. I think this is a growing area of interest globally for global investors, organizations, and even regulators.
Right.
ESG, as more and more organizations are learning about it, understanding the impacts, and also kind of looking at it, it's actually financially beneficial. Not many people actually think about it that way. They think ESG is all about charity work, but it is not.
No.
Actually, it's an advantage too. My experience on spending a good amount of time in ESG and sustainability related areas helped me to discover that ESG is not necessarily environmental, which is usually where it takes most of the press and media in the area, but it's also social and governance.
Right.
It's the impact that organizations, when they're operating and they're really working in terms of how they're really impacting the native people, the usage of water, the ecosystem, the competition, child labor, anti-bribery act, and what is the systems and checks and balances that the organization sets itself.
Right.
As an investor, where emerging markets or developed economies, as global investors are kind of dwelling out there and reaching out because the world has become a flat ground for access, investors are very doubtful of which organization to really put their money, even if some of the metrics that they follow is really aligned.
Right.
ESG understanding a report or a status of an organization helps them to deeply understand the risk that they're really signing up for. Organizations which are not necessarily ESG aligned in terms of operating in a respectful manner and ecosystem balance tend to get into roadblocks and really fall short, get into legal tangles. As investors, these are really risks that you don't necessarily prepare for. So you really want to know that. So ESG reports and the various standards, so GRI is just one of them. And they're growing in eminence, is actually providing a window of opportunity And
Right.
organizations which do really well are at the prime spot of attracting great investments and really growing and beating the competition. So that's a very
Agreed.
interesting space that leaders need to really look into.
Right, right, absolutely. And it's so fascinating to hear how you must have navigated such complex multi-stakeholder initiatives.
Yeah.
And what stands out is the sheer scale and ambition of it. Not just the implementing of a reporting system, but also transforming organizational thinking about ESG. And hearing the challenges and context makes it tangible for listeners and underscores the strategic importance of ESG in today's business landscape. So, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. So, Mr. Suchindra, we've gone deep into leadership, strategy, and transformation. Now, let's switch gears into something lighter. This is a rapid fire round, no overthinking, just the first thing that comes to your mind. Ready?
Yep. Good.
Okay. So your go-to comfort food after a long day.
Probably a tea with my wife. It helps us
Wow.
to kind of sitting outside our garden, but it helps us to kind of unwind and really make us feel that it's normal.
That's wonderful. All right. One hobby or passion that instantly recharges you.
I would like to pick two. One of them is hiking. I really enjoy hiking and really planning and going exploring the wild and wilderness.
Wow.
And it kind of helps you to. I mean, it's actually evolutionary because when humans hear birds, they know there is no danger because birds stop chirping when there is
When
attack.
there's rain.
So when you're actually in the nature, it actually helps you to drop your cortisol levels. So hiking is one, and long distance running. I've really been a great beneficiary of long distance running and the network I've built through that.
Wow, that's really nice to hear. Okay. So this one I do know, mountain or beaches, where do you feel most alive? I think I know the answer to that.
You would say mountains, isn't it?
Mountains.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mountains a lot more, especially if I want to unwind. But if I really need to go with family, beaches gives us a very simple aspect. So you just go sit and unwind, get a swim, build some sandcastles with kids. I've got
Right.
kids, so I really enjoy
Great, great. Okay. A book, movie, or song that never fails to inspire you.
that. I'm such an avid book reader, and there's so many among the 500 books that I've read. And books also. I mean, I'm very picky about some of the books. I think my personal favorite as a movie is by far The Shawshank Redemption.
Okay.
It's a movie that puts me very grounded. It makes me understand where there is hope and what are the challenges and ordinations and how to kind of remove all the distractions and just focus on what you're
Focus on the goal.
doing to transpire.
Right. Right. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. If you could live in any city in the world for a year, which one would it be?
I just moved back from Sydney, where we and family were there for about 8 years. So I've
Okay.
absolutely loved Sydney. I think I love the access to the beaches, the hiking trails, the route, and all of that. So if not for my hometown Bangalore, which I really love too, Sydney will definitely be a big
Sydney.
as
Wonderful, wonderful. All right. So, one thing people would be surprised to know about you.
well. That's a hard one. Um,
Sorry.
I don't know. I mean, I think probably they'll be surprised that I'm from Bangalore. Because of my experience working in the rest of the world, and I kind of bring up a lot of examples from my travels. They fail to realize that I've actually spent the first 22, 23 years of my life in Bangalore and been very hardcore Bangalorean, love my masala dosas and idli vadas. So probably that is something that doesn't come out evidently immediately.
Right, right. Great. Okay. So, trekking with friends or running solo, what do you enjoy more?
You put me in a spot. uh, um, Running solo when I'm training for an event. Otherwise, it's really not fun. I love group runs too. but trekking with friends is just out of the world because
Right.
it just because when you're trekking, the legs move, but the conversations is it's across
Non-stop.
it's across the universe,
Yes,
beyond
absolutely.
planet Earth. So it's just wonderful. I would relish that any day.
Great. Okay. So, tea or coffee?
Tea it is. I never used to be a tea or a coffee drinker as much. My wife got me into it. Uh, two teas, morning with her and an evening tea with her. I think I've got my day set.
I can totally relate to that. I need my morning tea.
True.
Okay, the last one. If someone wrote a biography about you, what would the title be?
I've been such a big vocal person about this specific phrase in my life. Life is short, make it an adventure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that was a fun rapid fire round. We got to know you as a person, not just a professional. Thank you for sharing your life with us, sir. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Pleasure as always.
Great. So, Mr. Suchindra, the ESG world has recently shaken up by high profile greenwashing scandals like Wisdom Tree paying 4 million SEC settlement or Deutsche Bank's DWS being fined 25 million euros for overstating its ESG credentials. These cases show how quickly trust can collapse when sustainability claims do not match reality. As someone who's actually led genuine ESG implementations, like we just talked about, the TCS's GRI reporting for Metcash, how do you think leaders and boards can ensure ESG is more than marketing? It is authentic, measurable, and truly embedded into business strategy.
Yep. Thank you, Charu. This is obviously a growing area of concerns for organizations. As I mentioned just a few minutes ago, organizations really go through different challenges, make decisions which is business appropriate at that point in time. But in hindsight, sometimes that can really peg them down the rabbit hole. And some of the examples that you just mentioned precisely replicated those concern areas. Organizations would have taken decisions which is business appropriate at that point in time. Uh,
Right.
but to growing lower trust in the global governance, there's an increasing focus on bringing governance and the area of sustainability really becoming all encompassing. So organizations and boards and leaders today really need to step back, take a hard look at what got them here and what are
Right.
aspects that they really need to address and really
Right.
take measures even before the regulations and requirements of the markets step in. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
these decisions and these deliberations, if taken early, helps them to address them with sufficient time to kind of take measures. But not addressing them early enough actually puts them front and center in terms of media coverage,
Right.
then investor bullying, and really legal taking its own course. Please
Right.
remember every stakeholder in this, whether it's a regulator, the legal framework, or the investors, all of them are still trying to understand how to adapt to the situation. So, what happens in such a scenario is left to perceptions and interpretations. And organization need to really control perceptions but that comes only from when you know your bells and whistles in the organizations and where you are. If not,
Right.
beating from your gut, going after everything that comes in the face on face value, it puts you into really big trouble. And with social media and investor activity, these are really challenging situations. Leadership need to be prepared. They don't have a choice anymore.
Agreed, agreed. And I also believe that it has, it has to do about trust and how fragile that trust truly is when companies overpromise and underdeliver. So that is one thing that needs to be, taken care of.
Well,
And, and it's not only about the fines or reputations. And
Correct.
it's really powerful to hear you connect these global headlines with your perspective. And that framings makes the stakes of ESG feel very real for listeners. So thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Charu. And it's an important wheel that cannot be ignored anymore, and it's going to become a very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Mr. Suchindra, you recently joined Directors Institute, and given your global career and experience across many industries, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What has your journey with DI been like so far, and in what ways do you feel it adds value for leaders and professionals today?
Wonderful. Thank you, Charu. I stumbled upon Directors Institute very recently. Uh, and it's important as an individual for me to align to my long-term vision. I've taken a lot of effort and outside my work engagements to really understand what motivates humans, organizations, leaders, investors, employees, ecosystem through deliberations, being part of panel discussions, speaking engagements, career coaching, and also in terms of the consulting engagements, which have been strategic and tactical in nature.
Right.
Doing that all in a culmination to really add value, or whether to startups or to large organizations, is my current aspiration. That will actually help me to kind of enrich and really make my career so far and the rest of my life really enriching. And Director Institutes and this program really sits in the sweet spot where my passion, my aspirations, and also the global need for
Right.
directors is growing and experience and capable independent directors. So I felt it's a blue ocean for me to really dwell into. And my journey so far has been really fantastic. It's kind of brought in all the experiences that I already have, which is aligned to the needs of the program. But it's only going to help me to speak the grammar of being an independent director. So this
Right.
is a really enriching experience so far, and looking forward for making the best use of it and really impacting organizations out there who will really value my presence.
Right, right. Thank you for that wonderful feedback, sir. And looking at your extensive career and the experience that you've had, stepping into boardroom as an independent director seems like a natural progression for your career. So I wish you all the best for that. And I love how you frame that first impression almost like stepping into a new chapter of growth. So that's really wonderful. And thank you for sharing your thoughts with us.
Wonderful, Charu. It's my pleasure, and yeah, looking forward to making Director Institute and all the impact that they're really doing. So very excited.
Great, great. I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Suchindra, thank you so much for sharing your journey and your insights with us today. What stood out is how your story is not just about billion dollar transformations or global boardroom wins. It's about weaving purpose into every step. Whether it's guiding Fortune 500 mergers, building blockchain supply chains, mentoring startups, or coaching thousands of professionals, you've shown that leadership is much about resilience, empathy, and learning as it is about execution and beyond business, from ultra marathons to fundraising heights, you remind us that true leadership is lived everywhere, not just corporate offices. To everyone listening, if today's conversation gave you a fresh perspective on governance, ESG, or what it means to lead in a disruptive world, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with a friend, a colleague, or someone who's building their career and needs to hear these lessons. This has been FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute. Until next time, keep learning, keep leading, and stay future ready.